Hi guys, it's me again, here with my T-Fal pressure canner. Today will be my first time using it. As I mentioned before in my previous video, you want to follow the instructions on what you're supposed to do before using your pressure canner for the first time. So please do that. Please look in your book and figure out what you're supposed to do. No, I do not have braids today. I actually have my hair wrapped up. I typically wear afro all the time, but during the summer months, I ride motorcycle. And typically when I take my helmet off, I have motorcycle helmet hair, and it takes a long time for me to pick it out. Not even necessary, just throw braids in it. Even though I'm not gonna be pressure canning much today, I could not pass them up. I love baby bell mushrooms, and they were marked down 30%. So I got all of the ones that were marked down, and today I am going to can them because me and my husband, we eat a lot of mushrooms. We eat mushrooms in just about every savory dish that I make. Okay, so I took my T-Fal canner out, and yes, it is humongous, and I'm probably only going to be canning 4 jars of mushrooms, but hey, I want to use it. So in my instruction manual, it says that whenever you operate this canner, you should use 64 ounces of liquid. So I have my measuring cup, my super huge one, and this is 32 ounces. So I'm going to fill this up 2 times, put it in my pressure canner, and then we'll be good to go. 32 ounces. 64 ounces. Interesting, because this pot is humongous, and there is just a fraction of liquid in here, so not as much as you would think. I am going to go ahead and place my bottom in it, that my cans will sit on top of them, my jars will sit on top of that. And now I'm going through the process. I'm going to take these, I'm going to wash them and slice them, and then put them in a pot for about 5 minutes, because we want them to shrink just a little bit. If you know anything about mushrooms, they don't start off this huge. They start off this huge, but then afterwards they just shrink into a little bit of nothing. So we want a little bit of that shrinkage to happen before we put them in the jars, so that we can make sure that they're packed really nice and tight. So we have everything chopped up. We have all of our mushrooms sliced. So now we're going to start our process of cooking them down for about 5 minutes. This pot right here is going to be filled with hot water that we're going to use as the packing liquid for our mushrooms. I have my jars over here, they're being sterilized, and I'm going to keep them warm. I'm going to keep them warm because we are going to be using warm mushrooms that are going to be placed in there, and we're also going to be using warm water or hot water that's going into the jar. We don't want to shock it, so we're going to keep everything at a moderate temperature, the same temperature. Okay guys, it's about to go down. I'm super excited. I don't know what's about to happen, but hey. Okay, got my lids over here. They're warming, my rings. Now I'm going to take my mushrooms, jeez man, my jars out of the oven that have been warming, and we're gonna place them right here by the stove. I got my canner heating up with water. I think I'm gonna put a little bit more water in there. I told you 64 ounces, but once I put my rings in there, my ring that goes at the bottom, because the suggestion was at least 64 ounces of liquid. So I put one more. Okay, so let's get the assembly line going. Got my warm jars. And I probably will need to move the camera a little bit so you guys can see me. Yep, you can see the jars. Okay, so I'm going to grab a slotted spoon. Wrench it off, as our moms would say, or I don't know if your mom said it, but surely my grandmother said it. So wrench that spoon off. We're going to take our mushrooms. Take our funnel and just get our mushrooms out and funnel them in. I'm using pint-sized jars, wide mouth. And I got two other jars that I'm using. Lead Farmer 73 said one time in his new canning adventures, it's better to have more jars, and we're leaving an inch head space than not have enough. Because you get ready, you start getting ready to can, and you got more stuff than you thought you were gonna have, and next thing you know, now you gotta stop, sterilize some more jars. Man, these mushrooms smell good. Wow. So that's why I evenly distribute a little bit, because I might be able to get more in here than I anticipated. And we'll see what happens with the liquid when I start pouring the liquid in. Man, I love mushrooms. My husband just called me as he was leaving for lunch. He had a late lunch today. And he said, well, what are you doing right now? I said, well, I'm about to try my canner out for the first time. So he's like, well, what are you canning? I said, mushrooms. He was like, mushrooms? I was like, yes. So I'm going to leave these other ones in here until I get my liquid in, and we will see exactly. And then, you know, I use my debubbler. I know a lot of people are like, why don't you just ladle it in? Oh, but I got time for that. Take this pot, pour it in there. I can see. Okay, so we got them filled. We're gonna debubble. Uh-oh, a mushroom escaped, y'all. We're going to be eating. Oh, I'm super excited. So we debubble to get all the air pockets out, to make sure that our food is cooked properly, and we get a nice seal on our jars. And man, you can just tell when you go in and you debubble how much air was really inside of there. Okay, so now since I debubble, I could actually put a couple more mushrooms in each one. making sure that I leave my head space. And I got a few that won't fit in there. I say they won't fit, but I don't necessarily want them to fit because I love mushrooms so much. I just think I'm gonna eat those last couple that won't fit in there. So now, and I didn't even need these jars right here, so I'll just put those to the side. I'll get my measuring spoon so that we can measure out a teaspoon of fourth a teaspoon of salt. So here we are. We're going to hit each one of them with some salt. I'm also going to use some pepper. I think a couple of them can use a little bit more liquid. And I'm gonna debubble one more time. Yep. So that's it for the hot water. Thank you, hot water sir. And I promised I would debubble again. So that's what we're gonna do. My pot is warm. I'm super excited. Then I put just a touch of vinegar inside of my water. I'm gonna use vinegar on my rim. But you know what, guys? I think I'm gonna put a squirt of aminos inside each jar. I love aminos. If you're not hip to aminos, you probably want to get hip to it. It's like soy sauce without all the soy sauce problems. So I'm gonna wipe my rims, make sure that I don't have any excess anything on there that would prevent it from sealing. Okay. I'm gonna now take my lids and my rings. I don't have a fancy magnet, guys. The kit that I bought doesn't have one. We're gonna get them finger tight. Ooh, that's a hot job. Put them inside of my pressure cooker. Make sure you screw it down right because you don't want your screwing method to be lopsided. Oh man, you know what? Well, we're just gonna go ahead. And now we have our jars in. They're spaced out, and I might have to get my step stool, guys. Because I'm only 4'11", and I cannot see inside of here. And this is what my jars look like inside. Okay, because this pressure canner is a no muss, no fuss pressure canner, we do things differently on this one than you would some of your other pressure canners. So to start out with, T-Fal suggests on this pressure canner that you place the lid on and it's on the position of steam. So let's line up our arrows. We're going to turn it. We crank it up on medium high heat, and we're gonna let it go. So what we're waiting for right now is for steam to start coming out of the lid. Well, there's a steam valve. So we're waiting for steam to come out of that. And once that steam comes out of the vent, then we are going to then turn it on our position, which is 1, 2, or 3. And for these veggies, we're going to do mushrooms. We're going to do number 1. So we're going to wait for steam to come out the valve. After steam comes out of the valve, then we're going to place the position on the number that we need to. So there's no counterweight, there's none of that. We'll just need to just turn the dial. Okay guys, we're down to 54 seconds. So here we go. Let me get my hot hands. We're gonna be moving the dial. I have to admit, I'm scared as hell right now. Woo, Jesus help me. So we're going to move the dial to 1, and we are going to leave it there for 10 minutes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I didn't even need my hot hands. So now we're going to start the timer to 10 minutes again. This is 10 minutes that we're going to let it pressure cook. Now it's pressurizing. So I have already reduced the heat. And now we are going to set our timer for 45 minutes. Hey, so with this canner, when the pressure drops down to 0, you can actually turn the steam valve on and release the rest of the pressure and begin to remove the lid after the pressure has been released. So we're going to open it up and we're going to see what's happening. Pressed it on steam, nothing. I'm gonna open it up away from me, so I don't need a facial right now. My ring still looks good, everything looks good. I'll put my lid over here. And boy, I'm a short person. And let's just move in closer because I got some bubbling going on. So now we're getting ready to take our mushrooms out and set them on the counter. Put you in the sink for washing. You too. So here's our first jar. Here's our second one. And I fear that may not be sealed because remember when I was saying make sure you got your lids on correctly? That one looks kind of cockeyed, so that one's boiling. Yep, all of them are boiling except for this one. And I fear that's not gonna be sealed. But hey, I can always open it up and eat it later. So we're gonna let these sit for 24 hours. We're not gonna touch them. And then after they have all popped, I'm gonna write the names on them when I can them. And then I'll unscrew the lids, the rings, and store them. Thanks for watching. So overall, this was a great experience, even though I was scared to death. Happy canning.